The time when the Franco troops surrounded Madrid, except for one place.
What year was that?
Away, especially when they attacked from two bridges, coming to the center of the town. So badly, in the old bridge, they were called the old bridge and the new bridge. The old bridge, when the fight ended 2 days later, was full of Moros, we call them Moros, the Arab troops the Franco brought to the peninsula as his main force. There were so many dead there. We had to make piles of them and put gas and fire them, because the smell after 2 or 3 days of the battle was so terrible, and also because the medical people recommended that wasn't good, for our health.
Now this town, where was it located?
Castro del Rio is very near the capital, 42 kilometers.
One second, I want to close the door, get the sound cut down. Could you ask that question again, Bill? I'm
Yes.
sorry.
The name of the town and where it's located?
Es Castro del Rio. Was a very bad experience. And at that time, we would say we are safe, no? But the capital, Cordoba, was in the hands of Franco already. And they prepared one new attack. And at that time, I was in charge of ringing the bell in the tower of the church every time that I saw any airplane came to attack the town, because they were preparing the territory for a new attack. And that happened 1 month later, in September. In September, they came with so many forces, and they were impossible to reject. But we have by land escape, and almost everybody in the town, except some members of my family that later were very useful for me, stayed there. And we went to Madrid. And there, this was September, the 1936. Immediately, I was 16, but I was told, I represented more of my age, more 18. I went as voluntary to the 5th Regiment of Popular Militia. There was a communist, but my mother, she said, "You are crazy." And she went to the headquarters of the 5th Regiment and said, "My son is of no age to be fighting. My son is with the Republic, but I don't want him in the war." Yeah. And they gave me go. Of course, 1 year or less later, I went again, I lied again, and then I was the rest of the war in the Corps of Engineers of the Army, making trenches, all these kind of, but having to fight also because we were given guns. I even have some poems in which I tell things of the war,
No,
but
most of the action you saw was in the Madrid area?
action, yeah.
In Madrid?
When the second attack to Castro del Rio was going to start, a group of youngsters like myself, we went walking to Espejo. Espejo is a town 6 miles from Castro del Rio. And we were there fighting against the attack. I don't know. Is where I don't know how people are killed in the war because it's difficult to know. But I've been dreaming with a man that I killed in Espejo all my life. Because I was with other younger defending a corner in the street, and I saw an Arab with long, turban and all that, coming behind us. Well, I said, this guy will kill us, some of us. And then I shoot, and I hit him, and he was moving, and then I shoot a second hand times, and don't move. This is a very bad memory for me because I've been always against violence, And also something happened in that town, Espejo, during that time. After we retired, because the enemy was everywhere, in the castle, an old castle of the Duchess of Alba in town, was full of civil guards, carabineros, And they killed themselves before falling in the hands of the Franco troops, because they knew that they will be killed, and they preferred to. That was very bad.
Now, why did so many young people stay with the Republicans?
Well, in my hometown, the majority of the people, political people or apolitical, say, because we were anarchists, we were affiliated to the libertarian youth, and we were very full of spirit not to fall in the hands of the fascists. Because you see, the troops that were attacking us were not only the army of Morocco and the army on the peninsula, but also falangistas. The falangistas, Falange Española was named, was a party exactly like the fascisti in Italy. And we were very much against that. And nobody sent us to fight. No, we voluntarily many of us were without guns to Espejo. And we wait until any of the Republican group fought, and we took the gun, was not useful for him anymore, and we continue fighting. But that was a lost cause,
What was the worst kind of techniques that the Franco government used against cities and towns?
Well, it's a total disorganization, In a small town like mine, wasn't too small. It has around 20,000 inhabitants, And we live well. Was mostly a middle-class town, And the war, with all the countryside not producing for the attacks of the enemy, also the airplanes came, they saw people working in the countryside, they shoot at them, Everything was very scarce, And was a mixture of not eating and being attacked all the time. You know, nobody, I suppose, is happy in those conditions.
How about in towns like the biggest cities like Madrid and Barcelona?
In the bigger city, in Madrid, there is the only big city that I knew after my town. After that, I live in Madrid 28 years, almost all my adult life. But in Madrid, more of the same, because you see, in Madrid, after the Franco troops came and surrounded almost all the town, was very difficult to find anything. Some people cannot survive with so many little things missing. Little things missing that were not as important if the situation was normal, but in that situation was very bad. And also with the German planes, the Junkers and Italian planes fighting over Madrid almost every day.
Bombings?
Bombing, yeah.
Is the, you were saying the Picasso painting is sort of a good
Picasso
leverage?
painting, because everybody knows about Guernica, all the painting of Picasso. But in Spain were many more Guernicas, you know. I think that in reality, and this is not only my opinion, the Civil War in Spain was a rehearsal for the Germans World War II. Yeah.
I think it was the first
The
time.
same technique of attack surrounding and all that.
They say it's the first war in which civilians really became a target.
Yeah,
Bill, later-
was very bad.
You're going to later on ask about what happened to the refugees.
Yeah.
I don't think we were running in the beginning when Rafael said where he was born.
Oh, could you just repeat for us where you were born and the name of the town so we get it right?
Oh, when the Civil War started, I was 15 years old. I was born in Castro del Rio, a town very near the capital of the province, Córdoba.
And how far is that from Madrid?
From at least 400 miles. You know, Córdoba is in the south of Spain, and Madrid is in the center, geographic center of the peninsula. Yeah. And I lived there until I was 16, more or less. Because, no, my 16th birthday happened in Madrid when the day of the international brigades came to help us. I saw many of the soldiers in the front where I was at that time. At that time, I don't know if this will interest, but I was working in the engineer army, making tunnels under the lines of the enemy and blowing there, and you can see the bodies on the earth like flying and all that. That was terrible. I felt sorry. I felt sad for these people that we were blowing like that. But, you know, the only justification that we had was that they can do us too, because they were doing the same thing.
How, by the end of the war, which shape was the country in, towns and cities? Say,
It's necessary for example, Spain lived under a dictatorship from 1923, where the king, Alfonso XIII, named a general, Miguel Primo de Rivera, as president, a dictator. He named as dictator of Spain. And that wasn't too good. The people don't like to live under dictatorship. And there were many revolts against the dictatorship in the part of the anarchist union, the socialist union, and the communist party. They were different. And all this from the 1923 to 1931 produced in the general election, the king was kicked away, and then Spain became a republic. The same thing that the anarchists and socialists and communists create problems for the monarchy was the monarchy went away. Well, here was the other side. They started to create problems in Spain. And there were many changes of government between the several Republican parties, the socialists, and the partidos of the derecha, the right. Spain was in turmoil since the dictatorship to the Civil War.
Yeah.
Nobody was happy.
What's life like for civilians in that by the end of the war?
The
What
civilians,
conditions were the cities and towns in?
not a good one, because we were in any province there was always some problem. For example, once will be the miners in Asturias, then in Casas Viejas, and Bujalance, near Castro. There were always conflicts, laboral conflicts, especially because disagreements between the political parties and the different unions. There were socialist unions and anarchist unions mostly.
I'm thinking more about the physical, was there food, was there hospitals, were there roads, did people have housing by the end of the war?
Sí. In the destructions in general wasn't as big as in Guernica, but don't let people sleep well, and was very bad. It's difficult to say now, after all this time, that you don't sleep well. You were expecting something bad constantly. And the thing started when the first day of the Civil War, it was unexpected. When I woke up, I hear my father say, but they are going to church. It was a Sunday, a church with guns. Then we hear for the radio that the Army of Africa there is a subleration against the government of the Republic. And the rich people of the town, there was mostly the people that went to church, because the anarchists went to church. The town took like, why are these people afraid of? And then is when the people decided to take the rule of the town in the name of anarchism. And the first thing was to attack the Guardia Civil, because they were preparing to take the power in the town, kicking away the Republican mayor and all that. And I remember that was my first bellicose act in the war. I was given a handgun this long, very old, and 6 bullets. And we went to the headquarters of the Civil Guard. There were not too many, 6 or 7 for attack. We did nothing to attack them, I spent my 6 bullets, and I don't know where they went, because every time I pushed the gun did that, and I think then the bullets went to the sky, And then the thing started. In general, the following days, everything was very bad because the stores were closed. There was no services at all. And then the CNT, the anarcho-syndicalist union, decided the food and anything you need for the house will be free. And I was feeling very important when I make to the people, what do you need? Well, I need this and that. I make it okay, to the people and all that. It's because I was in the printing shop and they thought that I was smarter than others. Sorry.
You worked in a printing shop? You worked in a printing shop?
I was, yes. I was in the printing shop. First I went to the primary school. But I didn't like it too much because the teacher was a kind of animal. They punish us for everything with a rule. And then I asked my father what I wanted. I said, well, I prefer to go to the anarchist school, where there was a teacher, very... we paid 10 cents a dime. We went to the school, put the dime in the table of the teacher, and we received, And every day when I went to school from my house, I passed by the door of the printing shop. And I look, and I always impress the typesetting by hand, and printing. Then I told my father that I would like to be typographer. And they said, well, but you have to go to school. And my father talked to what I call mi maestro until today, about my desire. And he said, listen, that is no problem. He can learn half a day on the printing shop. In the other half day, I teach him the same thing that he will learn, arithmetic, orthography, grammar, etc. And then we started. And that was my salvation later, because when the war came, 15 years, I was a very good typographer and printer and all that. And this permitted me later to go to the Ministry of the Army as an official typographer.
Right.
Yeah.
I wanted to know, did you ever print any patriotic things to be sent out from the shop? Or would you get in trouble if you had done that?
No, I don't. Well, it was very difficult,
While you were off fighting for those 3 years, what did
the whole war I was, At the beginning in Espejo, in that place where I said and then when I came to Madrid, I went volunteer, my mother take me, and then I went, and I was until then. The day, the last week of the war was very dramatic, because Franco ordered to the Republicans in Madrid to surrender and said no. And because they were going to attack and destroy Madrid, I was with my battalion preparing trenches in Barajas, the east where now is the International Airport of Madrid. I was there, and the 28th of March, 3 days before the war, I was there making trenches, and suddenly the lieutenant and all this start to say, hey, the war is finished. They are entering in Madrid.
Did they attack the town and destroy it?
Yeah, and then we started walking to Madrid from Barajas. There was 10 miles from Madrid, something like that. And we were a group run. When we were doing that, 2 airplanes of Franco came with machine guns trying to liquidate us. And we were lying down. That was my last day at Keene. And then we arrived to Madrid, and they continue. But before they enter, there was some disagreement between communists and anarchists. The anarchists prefer to fight until dying, if necessary. The anarchists say, no, let's say as much as we can to fight later. And they were killing each other in the streets of Madrid. And this facilitated the entering of the army of Franco. They come few days after the 1st of April. They said the war is finished because the enemy army is captive and disarmed. That was officially the word.
Did you stay in Madrid at the end of the war?
Well, this is very interesting question. The 1st of April, the first thing that Franco did was order any soldier of the Republican Army to present themselves in a concentration camp in Madrid. There was a soccer stadium of the Atlético de Madrid. And, well, what can you do? Obey. And we went, and we stayed in the concentration camp 3 days. It was raining and all that. Finally, after 3 days, they say, okay, we are going to leave you free, but you have to go to your respective town to be depurated, to be clean of. And then is when I went to my hometown after the war.
Yeah.
And it's funny, this is a very good anecdote. The soldiers were leaving, the concentration camp. And we arrived to a place where the metro, the subway was, and one of us, I don't know who, suddenly feels so happy to see, long life liberty, viva la libertad. And a soldier of Franco came with a gun and said, ¿qué libertad es esa? What liberty are you talking about? He said, well, the freedom the caudillo gave to us, because it was very risky to say viva la libertad, And then we went to the
Where were you told me about soldiers being executed? Where did that take place?
Yeah, after the war, I explained you about the theater of my hometown, no?
Yeah, tell me about that again.
Well, In the moment we arrive to our towns, they will look if in the first days of the Civil War we were active or we did any criminal act in the town. If they discover something or a suspect something, they were take to judgment in the theater, you know. It was very easy, you know. This guy is suspected of something. Through the penalties, remember I told through the penalty. The defender will say, well, that is it's not proven completely. And I asked to the judge, there was a military judge, to take the penalty away. Then the guy was with only one the penalty, enough to be killed that same night in the cemetery outside. And this made with hundreds of people. There was 1 week with the theater constantly in the stage. It was the tribune. I went the first day, and I didn't want it.
Oh, at night you could hear something going on?
Yeah.
What was happening?
And killing. They called to take a walk. We called him to take a walk. The dar un paseo was the take you to a paseo, but you never come back. Yeah, that was very, very common.
So a lot of, with the shops, they had a lot of Spanish Republican soldiers who had fled to France and ended up in refugee camps there.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that at all?
I hear about that, yeah, and I was possible for me to do that because 2 Belgians, they were friends of mine, and told me that they know a sure way of taking me to France. But this was after the Civil War was finished. But my wife then was ill with tuberculosis in a hospital. And I said, no, I don't want to go. But I had the opportunity. Also, we have already some news in the concentration, refugees camps, they were called, but was concentration camp of France, were not too nice with them.
You heard that?
Yeah, I hear that they were prisoners, you know. They were not well fed. The people were very unhappy.
But what would have happened if they had to return back to Spain?
Will be worse in some cases. In some other cases, if you were simply a soldier, well, you were soldiering things. But, you know, many people, for example, if somebody saw me shooting my big gun against the Guardia Civil in my hometown, well, this will be guilty enough, you know.
And you would have been...
I will be in jail or sent to the army in Africa or whatever. And then I didn't like that idea, you know.
How about the civilians, and like when Larry was saying, when the shops came through Spain, it was the summer of 1940, and they were struck by the way people were living in Spain at that time.
Oh, yeah. There was...
Do you have memories of that?
Yeah, in my hometown, I think the people were in a war situation because almost all as I said before, the people like my family, we went to Madrid and to other places. And people from other towns occupy our places in our town. And they were people pro-Franco and all that, And they live okay. But the people who has to live and live in other places, it's a problem of adaptation and of being a strange person, being strange people.
Were there problems with food, clothing?
Everything that you normally accept as natural every day.
Was there starvation?
As much as starvation, no, because, well, you know what in the Republic Army we ate every day? One meal will be lentils. Well, lentils, soupy lentils. The next meal will be rice. Spain produce a lot of rice, and also Valencia, there is the province that produce more rice, was Republica. And the third meal will be lentils with rice. And when I was in the Toledo front, other sudden when we have free time, we went hunting for porcupines. And we ate them very carefully, Yeah, that was the only meat that I ate when I was in the front. We received a piece of bread and then lentils of rice. And that was all.
You became a vegetarian?
No, never. I had lentils even today. Right, I like, because paella is good and some other things.
Was your town, your hometown, did it experience much destruction when you got back?
No.
No?
No. Was okay. The destruction was people killing or disappearing. Many people disappeared. But property, buildings, no.
Did you go, you weren't up north too much? In Salamanca, Zaragoza, you weren't up there?
No.
But you knew the story of San Lorenzo. Maybe you could tell.
San Lorenzo del Escorial. Well, this is a monastery, enormous. Well, you see, no? It's enormous. It's like a sanctuary from the Catholic Church. All that. And nothing happened there, really. Because everybody respected, the Republic respected that because it was a national monument.
But what was that?
But apart from what you refer is to Valle of the Fallen, el Valle de los Caídos. That is in the countryside of El Escorial. Yeah.
And what happened there?
There were, it was like a big cemetery of people, especially from the French army, and also this valley, the monument, there is a big road, was built with prisoners of war. They were very much mistreated, according to what there's some.
Well, the statuary we saw seemed to indicate in that region that the Franco forces just...
Yeah, they killed many people. And this was general,
It was all over the country.
All over the country. Except in the provinces where they dominate from the beginning. For example, Seville is a very picturesque province in Spain, was from the first day Franco, and also there was general-in-chief or the province of the, there was a Buffon, and he went to the radio every day making fun of the Republic, making the General Capo de Llano was the most stupid person that you can hear ever. And he took the war like fun. It's fun. It's fun to kill these people, these son of a bitches, you know.
After the war, how many people wanted to leave Spain?
Many, as much as possible. For me, was difficult until 1957, 17 years. Yeah, because when I was a prisoner of war going to work to the campo Miguel de Unamuno, when they free me as prisoner, they transformed me immediately in soldier. And I was 11 years in the army, the Franco's army, working in the printing shop. But that's all, you know. And I can, but I don't know until when I was, after the war, in many activities not legal under the Franco's code, Franco. And I prefer not to, because some will say that I was a terrorist, but no, I was a patriot. This is always the case. The others are terrorists. You are a patriot. But since my government was the legal government of Spain, and the others were, you know, people that, well, I think that I was right.
It was very difficult to get out of Spain?
It was difficult, and I was lucky. When, as I said before, I have a Spanish magazine, the poetry, and I was very well known in Spain as a poet. I was in, and during one of my recitals of poetry in Cordoba, there was an American girl that speaks Spanish, was listening. And after I finished, she came, she introduced to me, etc., etc. And at that time, I was already a widower. My wife, the one that was with, has died. And I have a daughter with her. She's coming in March, my daughter. And she came after the recital and said, "Oh, you are wonderful." You imagine when you say to a poet that you are wonderful, you feel like, well, and she said, "Well, when I can see you again?" I said, "Well, listen, I am going to Malaga, another city that was always Franco's." They said, "But then I'm going back to Madrid, where I work." I was then production manager of the best publishing company in Spain, Aguilar. He said, "Well, may I go to visit you in Madrid, because I will stay in the United States in Spain for some time." I said, "Yeah, come." I gave the address. I went to my recitals. I went back. One day I'm working and she came. She was a girl from Pennsylvania. Her father was district attorney of Pennsylvania. And we fell in love in Madrid. And she stayed to live with me there. She didn't want to come to the United States by herself without me. Finally, his father guaranteed to the Spanish government that they can leave me a visa for 3 months if I can go to visit. Okay, I came here with a 3-month visa. Then I went to all these speeches that I said before about, okay, this make difficult for me to go to Spain. And then was when we went to Madrid, to Rio de Janeiro, and we lived there 4 years, and we got married there. Not there, in Bolivia, because Brazil, with so many liberty, has no divorce at that time, and not now. And that facilitated very much my coming here with a green card, with the residence and all that. And since I came here, well, everything went wonderful for me. I'm being manager of many good, important publishing companies and all that. Then, yeah, I'm being very happy in this country.
Did you take any photographs during the war? You love pictures? Were you a photographer too?
Yeah, you want to see some of my pictures?
During the war?
The war? No. No, because it was very risky. They can consider that you are spying or something. No. From the war, I don't have. At that time, I liked photography. I started with photography when I was 12 years, and I did photography all my life. But no.
Well, the shops, even after the war, the shops, Martha came back to, I think it was either Madrid or Barcelona to help particularly Spanish Republican soldiers fighting.
Yeah, people like this. People like this. They have been hiding for years without being able to breathe. This is a very interesting book.
Talk a little bit about that. Where were they hiding?
In their hometowns, in a place without going out at all, and the family, avoiding every,
Yeah.
I have, for example, in some places, for example, this was member of the Communist Party, only member, no. This Eulogio de Vega was a leader of agricultural workers, nothing political. And this Juan Hidalgo España was a socialist farmer. This was enough to be killed in post-war. And these people has been here. You said that you read this book. Yeah?
I'll write down the reference. Leave it here.
So if they were caught by the Franco government.
Oh, they were traitor to the patria.
They would be.
The name of Franco was God, patria, rey. But rey, Franco was not a rey, a king. But he make an arrangement that it was considered regente. Regente is a euphemism for people that is rey, más o menos.
Do you know of it? Whoops, watch out for your picture.
Oh.
Do you remember anybody getting out with the help of anybody?
Oh, yeah, I know people that went. A friend of mine went to the Soviet Union. Russia helps to some people to go there. But they were very selective. They took as political refugees people that had good professions, you know, intellectuals and all the thing. Yeah.
That's true with the shops. In fact, their mission was to save intellectuals, and everybody wanted the intellectuals.
Yeah, it's like to the United States after the Civil War. Many intellectuals came here and being in university. Damaso Alonso has been president of the Royal Academy of Spain, was teaching here at Harvard after the Civil War. He wrote a poem that I like very much, se llama A River is Called Charles. Funny que un río se llame Carlos. And many poets, Cernuda, you know, and Latin America. Many people went to Latin America because a Spanish refugee from the Latin America was welcome in any Spanish-speaking country with open arms, you know, Mexico. And Mexico has been many intellectuals from Spain after the Civil War and in many other places. And yesterday here, I had a visitor that has a house here and other in Maine, the same day, yeah? And there was in the Civil War, Spain, and now he's going to Valencia because he's Valencian. He arrived Tuesday to Spain, and we were reminiscing about all those things.
Yeah, the shops helped quite a few people go to countries like Venezuela and Brazil.
Brazil less because the different language. The people prefer Spanish-speaking countries, you know. When I came here, I didn't speak a word of English, nothing.
Rafael, did you meet any people who were in the internment camps in France who came back to Spain?
No.
No?
I never
met any?
No, because I don't know why.
You just heard that the conditions were bad.
I knew. I hear commentaries, no, and in the Spanish press, you know, commentary from people that came from there and were denouncing the bad treatment of the French people with the refugees.
Eventually, those refugees camps became really concentration camps with the Vichy government.
Yeah.
And then they were really bad.
Yeah.
Well, we've got 5 minutes of tape left. We could stop and get a drink of water and think. Maybe we have another question to put at the table.
No, but you said how many? You said that you want to use 2 minutes.
Well, we've got 5 minutes of tape left. We could stop and think if there's anything else we want to ask.
Okay.
We can always
take
use
a break
another
for a
tape.
minute.
Well,
No, I can tell you whatever you want if I know.
Okay.
I think we covered just about.
Okay, now I can put others in this place when you tell me. He told us what it was.
Okay, this is one. I think that this is my best.
Okay, we'll put it in the picture.
It's just going to be in the background. It's not going to be red. I don't think.
That's good. That's good. You get your name that way too. Has anybody ever translated your poems?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody translates from to Greek.
To Greek.
Yeah.
That wouldn't help.
Is that blocking it at all?
There's a one shot at the end of the, is it helping?
Oh.
It's being shown in Los Angeles tomorrow at some point. I've got the email. Bill, you emailed me, I forgot to mail it on to the kids.
Oh, really?
Didn't you tell me it was being shown in LA?
Yeah, KNET.
Larry, do you have any music planned yet for this?
No.
If you're looking for any Spanish Civil War songs, we have a Folkways record of music
Really?
from the period, yeah.
We can transfer those to CD.
And I've already used Smithsonian Folkways once, so I know how it works. You know. Wow.
Tell me when you're done.
Okay, we're almost done. Almost done.
There's more to be done, so.
Okay.
Maybe we should drape this over our heads and just stand here.
It's been cold, miserable, and cold.
Yeah.
And snow.
Yeah.
It's,
Students.
That's the one on the right when you put the stick.
Exactly.
So Bill, how did Larry get along without any Spanish guide in Spain last summer?
Well, wasn't easy.
Where's the-
I got embarrassed at one time. I asked for the bathroom and I didn't see the right word. So they broke out. I used a phrase that was fine in one part of Spain, but in the other part I found out it was, where's the bathtub or something like that, you
The
know?
name of the street is Highland.
No, in general, you want
You know
to
where
ask
Highland
for
is? 110 Highland. It's
¿Dónde
right off
está
Route 9, it's a
Retrete?
local gas station.
Retrete is
Right off Route 9.
the word
Whatever.
universal.
Down maybe
The
a mile or
the
a mile and a half,
retrete in
and then
some
turn right,
houses
right
is
on
in a
top of the
different
hill.
place with the baño.
Yeah.
Ah, no, also no
I
bath.
think Servicio would have done.
It's
Eh?
it's
I think
Highland.
Servicio
And
would
they
have done.
live,
That's
once
Servicio,
you
yeah.
turn that corner and you go up
Servicio
this hill,
Retrete.
it's really very steep.
Then
Very
they
steep.
had
You drive right into
almost
their
an
driveway,
English
you don't
word
even
for
go around the corner onto the rest of Highland Street, you
French.
just
Maybe
go
What
right.
is-
Where are we? Okay.
This poem, in Spanish, is the title of this poem in Spanish is University City. Was the front where I was in Madrid, and as you can hear, relates something that happened to me in the front, the Civil War. Francisco Sanchez died one morning in 1938. A happy country fellow who dreamed like a child. He was in a hurry to get home. Bullets stitched his waist, girded him with newborn mouth. He lay near a tree that did not live to shield him. Shattered his broken smile, so sad, so luminously sad. 20 years after, 20 years, I so far away from Spain, so near remembering him, I still see him in a hurry to get home.
Was that in Spanish too? Did you translate?
No, this is English. This was translated by an American poet.
No, but he has it in Spanish.
I'd like to hear it in Spanish too.
You want it in Spanish? If I can find that book.
Well, that was worthwhile. That's some good stuff. Just let those cool while we take everything else out. Good, we'll get home early. We'll be home by 5.
That'd be fabulous.
You just get right home.